Okay, we left off on this side where I was asked you to see if you could find anything that prokaryotes and eukaryotes have in common. So, these are the things they have in common. So, since they're living things, they both need energy and they both reproduce. That was kind of going back to the basic characteristics of living things slide. They both have some little squiggly black lines, and that's DNA. They both have this orange barrier here, and that's called a cell membrane. They both have little black dots. Those are harder to see, and those are called ribosomes. They make proteins. And then there's some white space in between, and it's actually not space. It's a white kind of jelly-like fluid, and that's called cytoplasm. So those are the main components of cells that all cells, whether they're prokaryotic or eukaryotic, have in common: DNA, a cell membrane, ribosomes, and cytoplasm. But the main thing we want you to be able to do is tell the difference. And the main difference that you're going to be looking for is this big yellow organelle right here called the nucleus. The nucleus is actually where the DNA is located, which is the instructions for all the things that all of your cells do. So it's kind of like the blueprint of who you are. That's located inside the nucleus of a eukaryote. There's also some other really big parts of eukaryotic cells that you'll learn about in 7th grade. They're called organelles. And those things are not present in prokaryotes. Prokaryotes do not have a nucleus. They have DNA, but it just kind of floats in the center-ish area of the prokaryotic cell. It also doesn't have any other large organelles like these organelles here. It just has these little tiny ribosomes. That's really the only true organelle that a bacteria or prokaryote has. So there's a rhyme that kind of helps you to remember. Pro-no meaning that prokaryotes have no nucleus, and eu-true. So eukaryotes have a true nucleus. So pro, no nucleus, eu, true nucleus. This is based on the meanings of the root words of prokaryote and eukaryote. So prokaryote and eukaryote sound like really big words, and they are, but pro, the Latin root actually means before, and eu actually means true or well or good. The Latin root of karyote means center or kernel. So as you can see, karyote is in reference to this nucleus, right? So this little kernel in the center of the cell is the nucleus. The eukaryote has a true or a good nucleus. The prokaryotes form before there is a nucleus. Okay, so before nucleus or no nucleus, pro-no, you do. All right, there are some other differences. Obviously, we're looking at the size. Prokaryotes are significantly smaller than eukaryotes. Here is a cool little GIF of, this is a white blood cell, a large white blood cell, and this is a bacteria, and the white blood cell is filtering out the bacteria, gobbling up the bacteria that are inside this organism. So you can see that the white blood cell is very, very much larger than the bacteria. As I spoke about earlier, eukaryotes do have membrane-bound organelles besides the nucleus. So there's this nice little membrane around the nucleus as well as around some of these other organelles within the cell. And none of those are present in the prokaryotes. All prokaryotes are unicellular. There's no multicellular prokaryotes. Eukaryotes can be multicellular or unicellular. So some of them are unicellular, but a lot of them are also multicellular. So let's review. Prokaryotes have no nucleus. No. They contain ribosomes, cytoplasm, a cell membrane, and often you'll see a flagella or two, which helps them to move around. They are much less complicated than eukaryotes and much smaller. There are three major shapes of bacteria, and those are circles or spheres, rods, and spirals. Eukaryotes do have a nucleus. They have a true nucleus. I'm going to change that. Eukaryote has a true nucleus. Okay. And that's where the DNA is located, inside that nucleus. They also have other membrane-bound organelles, some larger organelles. They're much more complex than prokaryotic cells, and they aren't just unicellular. They can be unicellular like these organisms, but they also can be multicellular, so made of lots of different cells that can do lots of different things. Most of the living things that you think of, plants, animals, are eukaryotes. And that is all of our notes.